Hello, friends. Welcome back. UFC Fight Night, Moicano versus Duncan. It should be fire. Unfortunately, picks are coming out on the later side, but you know what it is. Let's just hop right into it. I actually had a little bit of a recording error. Had to restart. So I'm good to go. Hopping right into it. Dakota Hope versus Kai Kamaka III. Kind of spooky hours here, as both of these guys are relative unknowns. I like to leave the Tapology thing out of it, at least when I make the pick initially. Excuse me. Dakota Hope obviously got some good momentum coming into this fight. The real thing that concerns me here is the losses of this man, Kamaka. 7 losses, and some of them were a little rough, but some fights in PFL, not too bad. Tough Enough, not really not the worst either. I'm subscribed to Tough Enough. I watched Tough Enough and also Combat Night on YouTube. It's really not the worst stuff. Peak Fighting, who's heard of that? Winning LFA, not too bad. Fury, whatever. I feel like it's almost a coin toss here. I'm not going to lie. But I think we'll go with Dakota Hope. I'll say by decision. I don't know if anyone gets finished now. Really getting into it, really starting it off. I actually think this will be quite a good fight. Dione Barbosa, the Witch, versus Melissa Gatto. I'm going with Dione Barbosa. Maybe a bit of an interesting pick here, as Melissa Gatto has looked decent in some of her fights. This is the thing. These 2 losses are not the worst. Tracy Cortez, not a bad loss. Ariane Lipski, worse, but I actually remember this fight being pretty competitive. So it's not, again, really not the worst. Now, Dione hasn't had the career on paper that will maybe give you the same confidence that I have in her. But from watching Dione fight, you can tell she's very strong, a good grappler. Sometimes she gets a little tweaky, though. That's the worst part. But we will go with Dione Barbosa by decision. I think that she'll be able to work the grappling and control Gatto. Strange matchup here. Osman Pakoyev versus Tresean Gore. A bit of a sacrificial match. Not a bit of a sacrificial matchup. You can see kind of by the odds, as well as the last recent losses. Tresean Gore's recent form, not the best. Granted, Azamat did get smoked in his last one by Yosri Belgori. However, Yosri is not, if you watched last week's fight night, Yosri is actually something special, someone to watch in that sense. So that loss is good. That loss can age well. I feel like there's really only one thing to pick here. I just realized I haven't been making, maybe I didn't make the picks. Oh no, I did. Okay. Osman Pakoyev by round 1 KO TKO, kind of calmly too. Who knows? Maybe Tresean Gore bugs out, gets a submission or something. Maybe he knocks out Osman. We'll just have to see. Here we go. Haley Cowan versus Alice Pereira. Now, I think that Alice is getting... I might look like a fool, ultimately, for saying this. I think Alice is getting a favorable matchup here. She's got a little bit of a reach advantage. She is a technical striker. It's just if you remember her UFC debut against Montse, which was already an interesting loss, I feel like that was also kind of a setup fight for her. She has skill, very green. Just extremely fucking green. Needs a lot of experience. Needs some real seasoning. Haley Cowan actually does have some seasoning, but I don't even really... We definitely watched this, at least. I probably saw this, but both of these combined, I can't. I can't in good conscience pick this chick, Haley Cowan, so we'll go with Alice Pereira by decision. Some real in-depth, substantial analysis with that one, but there you go. This is another one that I would consider it a coin toss. Lando Venata versus Darius Flowers. Now, Lando, in terms of skill, like skill for skill, I think Lando's the better fighter, but Lando might actually have not that much more mileage on him, and people agree with me about Venata, but Darius Flowers does scare me. I've seen him have moments. He's a strong dude, at least for a round. Actually, no. Let's trust in Venata. Let's just trust in Venata. Venata should be the better fighter here. Maybe a little bit more mileage, a little bit older, but just by a hair. Alessandro Costa versus Stuart Nickel. Stuart Nickel, I don't believe, has seen any success in his UFC career so far. He has not. The loss to Jesus Aguilar was tough as a motherfucker. The loss to Lucas Hosha, it is what it is. It is what it is, brother. Yeah. This is the weird thing about this man, Alessandro Costa. He always comes in heavy favorite, but you can see maybe dropping fights. Motherfucker be losing sometimes. It's really rough like that. Stuart Nickel, I think, is a guy that's good enough to maybe take a win off Alessandro Costa as well. I'm just going to go with Costa by decision, actually, for not the vibe, but skill and physicality. Maybe it's enough. I'll go with the gamble. This fight I actually think is extremely hard to pick. I really want to pick Thomas Peterson in this matchup of Thomas Peterson versus Guilherme Pat. Thomas Peterson, I think, is a layered fighter for both better and worse, in the sense that he is skilled, primarily a grappler, but he can strike a little bit. Actually doesn't have like the best cardio or conditioning, but he can fight. He can keep it up a little bit. Pause, but he can keep it up a little bit. Where was my train of thought? Where was I going with it? No pun intended. Where was I going with that, though? Oh, he actually, if you go back to some of his recent wins and losses, his losses especially, they're against tough dudes. It's not like against run-of-the-mill dudes. Jamal Pogues, people will shit on Jamal Pogues, but Jamal Pogues is actually a pretty technical boxer, in my opinion. And this fight actually made me hate Thomas Peterson. I remember this one actually kind of well. Jamal Pogues was winning, outboxing Thomas Peterson calmly, and then Thomas Peterson started like poking him in the eyes and going for real. It was kind of flagrant too, if I remember correctly, but water under the bridge, I guess. A win over Muhammad Usman isn't like a diamond in the rough by any means, but it means a loss to Muhammad Usman would also be informative. But Muhammad Usman does have a baseline skill and physicality, so I can appreciate a win in that regard. Shamil Gaziev, people have shit on him, people have praised him. He is a dangerous fighter, a very dangerous fighter. Not invincible, but a dangerous fighter nonetheless. The finish wasn't the worst shit there. Don'Tale Mayes, man, was expected to win that one. He did win that one. I actually wanted him to get a finish in that fight, if I remember. And Vitor Petrino, I remember Thomas Peterson actually, maybe I'm misremembering the fight. He put in work against Vitor Petrino a little bit. He did get finished at the end, but he did put in some work. Guilherme Pat, again, we're talking about seasoning, talking about experience. Man only has 6 fights. One of those was in the UFC, though. Granted, it was against Span Allen Fry Jr. The thing that's concerning to me here is size. Man is 6'5". Guilherme Pat, we're talking about here. Guilherme Pat is 6'5" with an 81-inch reach. Man will have a 7-inch reach advantage over Thomas Peterson. Now, if Thomas Peterson can get the fight to the ground, I don't think it matters that much. There is a chance that Guilherme Pat just gets a KO on the feet, though. And people do think so, but actually Peterson does have some respect. He does have some backers. I just don't know if maybe we actually are, or maybe I actually am overestimating Thomas Peterson. I'm actually going to go with my gut here, though. I'm going to pick Thomas Peterson. And you know what? I'll pick Thomas Peterson by submission in round number 2. If not decision, actually no, we'll say decision. Go decision. Maybe, if not decision, submission in round number 2. You heard it. This one I think is actually a good spot. Good spot. What do I mean good spot? You can see this dude, Robert Uchala, man, lost his UFC debut, if I remember correctly, to William Gomez. I actually think that one was a little bit tweaky as well, but William Gomez is not bad. He's not bad at all. Very technical fighter. Jose Delano, I feel like I'm having deja vu, and we should have seen him in the UFC earlier, but we haven't. We have not. Man is coming on a 4-fight win streak. People are going heavy on Delano, but actually, you know what? I think I like Robert Ruchala here. I like Robert Ruchala a little bit because maybe he doesn't have the legendary Polish power. And embarrassingly enough, maybe I'm actually confusing Jose Delano with someone else. And I'm just shooting in the dark against him, essentially. I actually think that this fight for Robert Ruchala is not the worst. Again, William Gomez, very tough, very technical fighter. A little bit younger, similar size, little reach advantage for Robert Ruchala. I like that. I like that. Robert Ruchala can strike. He can also grapple. Maybe actually let's refresh. You can see here actually I left the Tommy McMillan shit up, but let's just take a little look at Jose Delano. Jose Delano was a dangerous striker. Yeah.
Wow.
And he's on the verge of being finished. He literally is. This is like mid-finish.
Getting through the guard. Now Helmer Fist. Alikhanov in trouble. Big shots.
I mean, shit, this dude's like getting away, actually. He's almost surviving.
Alikhanov gets back up. Delano teeing off.
Nice shots. Can't see him. Good
Good
body work, great body work. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful finish, actually. That was a beautiful finish.
Another big shot from Delano.
UFC ready on Dana White Contender Series. Nice body kick. Yeah, actually, I do need to see a little bit more. I need to see a little bit more. Actually, I confused this man. Jose Delano with someone else, so perfect. 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Sharp strike, sat him down. For some reason, I actually just got a vision that he sits down Robert Chala with that sequence, but. I like the striking of Jose Delano. Possibly cleaner than the striking of Chala. Might actually switch. Maybe we bought it. Maybe we bought it. Maybe we bought it. That was quite good. That was quite good. Oh, Sam Hyde shit. One more time. I did see a little bit of Robert Chala. I also remember a little bit of Robert Chala. Damn, this motherfucker Robert Chala has almost 60,000 subscribers. Holy shit.
Too good to let this go. Look at the elbow. MP, straight
Is it
down. Down goes that power strike. Formella in all kinds of trouble. And referee looking very closely. Ruhala will finish this now. It's a TKO in the third for Robert Ruhala. Doesn't look for the low kick.
Ruhala, okay. That.
And Ruhala has to eat one of those shots there. He was caught with the kick. That's it. It's all.
I saw that finish actually. Nice little body. Little teep kick.
Podwójne ciosy Roberta Ruhaly, 30 sekund do końca. Ciekawe, czy za 2 punktowane. Idzie koniec!
I wanted to see a little bit more, but that was good. I saw a highlight video in one of his fights. outside the UFC. Please just don't be what we just watched. Nice. I like that. Don't sleep on KSW, guys, man. I think I'm gonna stick with Robert Ruchala. I was thinking about switching it, but no, don't sleep on the fucking KSW, guys, man. I might be wrong about this KSW pick. Last KSW pick that I was telling y'all about. Damn, was it Iwo Baranowski? Did he fight in KSW? Just another Polish dude, but if it wasn't him, it was 100% this man, fuck, what's his name? It's Jakob something. Wicklats, Jakob Wicklats! I was telling y'all about Jakob Wicklats, man! Holy shit, so, if I get this one wrong, at least I told y'all about Jakob Wicklats. We'll go Robert Ruchala. Tommy McMillan, though. Another dude that I was actually watching a little bit beforehand. Doing a lot of work with this man, Sugar Sean. I don't like, I'll just say it, I don't like the, like, a lot of the promo, and this is coming from like Sugar Sean's YouTube and stuff, is like, oh, the next Sugar, like all that stuff. I think that's a lot. It actually gives me bad vibes, like you're jinxing it, brother. This guy Manolo, though, I haven't really seen much of him or much from him. That would also indicate that he, whoa, shit, that he could get a win in this fight. We haven't, shit, close to 3 years since we've seen him last. We only saw him once, I believe. Yeah, man got smoked by Morgan Charrier. Man is coming in as a minus 1,300, though. I don't know. With a dude that won his Contender Series fight by majority decision, this might be worth just literally betting on just cause. Just the odds are, I don't know if these odds are correct by any sense. I am going to go with Tommy McMillan. By, say again, decision. It's funny, I thought there were going to be more finishes, but now when I'm going through each and every one, it just doesn't seem to be the case. This fight should be fucking a banger. In fact, Rafael Esteban versus Ethan Ewing. Ethan Ewing had one of the best. It was a breakout performance, breakout debut, on short notice. Excuse me, in a fight that many people thought he was going to be a sacrificial lamb in. Essentially versus Malcolm Wellmaker, heavy hitter Malcolm Wellmaker, young buck. Man put on an absolute clinic against him. Smoked the fuck out of him. Rafael Esteban, though, is a pretty monstrous dude who's been fighting good dudes outside and inside the UFC. Straight up. Felipe Buns, Jesus Aguilar, Charles Johnson, those are decent wins. Decent to good wins, actually. Malcolm Wellmaker's a good win, too, but I'm not trying to hate. That might be more of a name than it is a good win, if you get what I'm saying. For example, Jesus Aguilar, that's not a name by any means. It's also not the best win, per se, but Charles Johnson is a little bit more popular now. But before, like, Charles Johnson, again, not as much of a name, but that's actually a good win to me. Like, if you beat Charles Johnson, that's impressive. Charles Johnson, LFA champion himself, actually fucking good, too. Real struggler. Unfortunately for this man, Ethan Ewing, I'm going to have to go with Rafael Esteban here. Just more proven commodity. I do place a lot in that. I think this is going to be a great fight, though. I don't know. Again, maybe Rafael Esteban gets a submission, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a calm decision for Rafael Esteban. This fight should be gas. I'm going to just give a disclaimer right now. Possibly an emotional pick. I'm going with fucking Brunson Hibero when we come to Abdul Rahman Yakayev. When it comes to Abdul Rahman Yakayev versus Brunson Hibero, I'm going with Brunson Hibero, man. Brunson Hibero is an up and down guy for me. I remember, I don't know how long, I don't know if this fight will even show up. I believe it was right before this. Man fought Zhang Mingyang. I don't know if that was his UFC debut or if that was just a couple fights into his UFC career. But I picked him. I thought he was going to smoke Zhang. He dropped him, then got nuked. It was what it was. And there was an up and down period where I was shitting on him. And then I saw him win a couple fights. Got a finish winning one. And I was like, fuck yeah. You know what? Like, and Brinson was like crying and shit. He was emotional. I fuck with that though. A lot of heart. The tides have turned. We're going to go with Brinson Hibero. Oh, God. I say that as I read this dude's A&O record. Oh, yeah. No. I remember this. I remember reading this, actually. 8-0 in the UFC, right? Minus 1,900, huge favor. I'm going to bet on Brinson Hibero no matter what, literally. But this right here. A submission win over Rafael Cerqueira. I remember this being kind of brutal. In fact, the name Yakaev still kind of sticks out to me, so he probably was actually quite good. Rafael Cerqueira, though, if you've seen that man fight once, you've seen all his fights, essentially. He actually really is a sacrificial lamb. It's so strange because his record outside of the UFC, even though he's been fighting taxi drivers, factory workers, plumbers, and garbage men type shit, he's been able to finish them. You know, he still has competitive fights there. That's the weird thing. Sometimes there will be a dude that only fights cans, essentially, and bums. Excuse me. Maybe who never wins in the UFC. But sometimes they can give you some comp, at least give you some competitive minutes, occasionally, for a round. I would say we're approaching that. Or I would say this man, Jose Daniel Medina, was approaching that, kind of in that tier. But I digress. A win, or what I want to say is a win, even a finish win over Rafael Cerqueira does not hold a lot of weight with me. It simply does not. It simply does not. And I remember this Magomed Gadzhimagomedov fight being actually quite tough for him. And that shit, Magomed Gadzhimagomedov was supposed to be a monster. So, I'm okay with taking Brinson Hibero. I'm okay with taking Brinson Hibero possibly by like round 1 KO TKO, in fact. Or maybe even round 1 submission, round 1 finish. That's going to be the vibe. We'll be rooting. Bro, come on, look, he looks like fucking Giga Chad. Come on now. Virna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. Now, this is another one where I think actually, the odds are a little incorrect. Maybe I haven't checked any of the odds actually on any books, on any sports books, so those odds probably are incorrect. But I think I'm actually fairly confident in Virna Jandiroba to win this one by decision. I don't know if Tabitha Ricci has the grappling or just the technique even really to hold back Virna. I don't give a fuck about the age discrepancy. I don't give a fuck about the mileage discrepancy. There's a reason Virna has, and we won't even get into the MMA math aspect of it, but Virna, I think, has just proven herself at a higher level for a longer period of time against better opponents. Simple as. I think she'll show again versus Tabitha. Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan. This is one that I think is also quite interesting. Renato Moicano on a bit of a skid now, actually. Was on a streak, now he's on a skid. Highs and lows of the fight game. Chris Duncan, on the other hand, doing quite well for himself. 4 fights, 4 finishes, I believe. Or no, man, had the Mateusz Rebecki decision. But still a good fight. Now, Chris Duncan is similar to Renato Moicano in the sense that he's not invincible, but he's a very skilled fighter, and I think that Chris Duncan is just a more well-rounded fighter than Renato. I think that's just what it is here. Hey, I said it. Renato can defend himself, Renato can strike a little bit, but I think Chris Duncan will just be the better striker. I think these two will be evenly matched grapplers somewhat. Maybe Renato is a little better, maybe Chris Duncan's a little better. We're going to have to find out, brother, but I'm going with Chris Duncan here. I could see Chris getting a finish. I'll say in round 3. Say Chris Duncan gets a KO TKO via ground and pound, possibly drops him and just maybe pounds out Renato. Something like that. I think that's going to be the vibe here. Really, I do think it's going to be the striking that separates these two. That's a common outcome when you see two grapplers face off, especially in the UFC. It becomes a kickboxing fight. So we'll see. If it becomes a kickboxing fight, I do think Chris Duncan wins. Those are the picks. Pretty calm. I will see you on Saturday for the Smoky Hours Fight Companion. I'm about to step out right now and play some pool, but damn, 25 minutes. Well, we were watching some videos, so thank you for watching. I always get ahead of myself too. As always, thanks for watching. Much love. Big kiss.